Welcome to Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine's fiction podcast. I'm EQMM's editor, Janet Hutchings. Our selection this month is the story by Rob Osler that won the 2021 Robert L. Fish Award for Best Short Story by a New American Author. A business writer who only recently turned his hand to fiction, Rob also saw the publication of his first novel, Devil's Chew Toy, earlier this year. Here he is reading his award-winning story, Analogue, from the January-February 2021 issue of EQMM.
Day 1. I'm not one of them. I prefer my words with all their vowels. I don't get emojis. I wear proper shoes and my hair has a respectable part. Not a man bun. Yes, there's such a thing as a man bun. It's a common affectation among the army of Atari t-shirt wearing coders who treat me like the no-fun father who just crashed their party. Am I an unexpected choice for CEO of a global tech company? Depends on who you ask. My kids think so. They think it's a laugh riot. Most of the engineering and product leadership think along the same lines, though they're convinced the joke's on them. They doubt a starch shirt can lead a Silicon Valley company. But the board brought me in precisely because I am an old school, by the playbook CEO. And the results speak for themselves. Since I've been at the helm, we have beat earnings projections for 3 quarters running, and at the same point during the next 3 months, we should cross into the black for the first time in the company's 7-year history. You would think making our company's stock worth something would get me some love around this place, but you can't please everyone. Today I got an email from a disgruntled employee disagreeing with my recent decision to fire the company's flip-flop wearing founder. The former CEO was too soft and parked him in a corner office with the put out to pasture title EVP Strategic Projects. I simply did what anyone with an ounce of decency would do. I put him out of his misery by asking security to escort him from the building. I can't say I was terribly surprised someone around here found my action insensitive to Lawrence's visionary and entrepreneurial spirit that created a home for innovation. Give me a break. Larry may have developed a brilliant piece of code, an app that is the mother of all content aggregator, but it's as much a business model as is a neighborhood block party. Still, I admire an employee with the guts to send an email directly to the boss. Alas, my respect ran dry when I got to the end of the email and read the signature. Analogue. I looked up to the incoming email address, expecting to see some type of crypto-secure domain employed to further hide the sender's identity. But what was there, or was not there, is a true surprise. Blank space. I may not be the most tech-savvy guy in the building, but even I know that's impossible. But I'm telling you, in the space where the sender's email address should be displayed, there was simply nothing. I asked my head of IT if it's possible to receive a mail with no information whatsoever about the sender. He purses his lips for 5 long seconds, then says, "No way, Commander," punctuated by a quick shake of his absurdly large head. Seriously, it's as if he is wearing a motorcycle helmet, but it's all human cranium. He offers to take a look if I forward the mail to him, but I don't think I will. I'm not sure I trust him yet. Day 2. I wasn't gunning for this job. Social media is not really my thing, but the stock grants are so outlandish I couldn't possibly say no. After a couple of years, Liz and I will be in a position to start our own foundation, the Theodore and Elizabeth Herrick Foundation. We will join the illustrious league of stalwart families who have reached the pinnacle of American free market success by adding our name to a wing at the Met or to the list of PBS sponsors. Liz would love that. What Liz doesn't love is California. She's certifiably allergic to the West Coast. She refused to move out of the house we had custom built on 14 acres in Fairfield County, Connecticut. All for the best, really. All I do is work, and all Liz does is, well, whatever it is she does all day. She does seem quite busy. At least on the phone, she talks about how nonstop busy she is. Charity this, luncheon that, book club, dog show. Christ, we have a dog? Day 3. Today I received a second email from Analogue. This one takes issue with my decision to encourage employees to dress in a manner appropriate to a place of business. Frankly, I think it is rather generous of me to ask, rather than demand, that employees exercise common good sense in the wardrobe department. As just one example, I am hopeful that my admin assistant's shoulder tattoo, which I can only describe as a butterfly orgy, will soon no longer be on vivid display. I have yet to decide which is the worst offense, that a grown man would choose such a lurid subject for his ink, or that he subjects me to seeing it by wearing tank tops to the workplace. Day 4. I take the same elevator, use the same John, and eat in the same dining hall as everyone else. Still, when you're at the top, rank-and-file employees tend to keep their distance. I have no desire to be anyone's buddy, but as they say, it's lonely at the top. It doesn't help matters that many of my policies and procedures are unpopular. Case in point, today's mail from Analogue takes me to task for reassigning the yoga room to the legal department. I had little choice, really. Our intellectual property team is bursting at the seams, a turn of phrase that brings to mind the time I took a wrong turn and ended up in the room full of spandex-clad middle-aged women and men in downward dog pose. The memory haunts me still. Day 5. Analogue's most recent missive is a scathing criticism of my new work-from-home policy. There is none. That's right, boys and girls. Time to roll out of bed, throw those messenger bags over your artisanally crocheted sweaters, mount your $1,000 bicycles, and get your butts to the office. Do such decisions make me unpopular? No doubt. But I'm not a monster. I am the CEO. And the unavoidable reality is that everyone here needs me to be me. In fact, they are all literally banking on it. Read the company blog, however, and you get the impression I have fire spitting out of my eyes and sharpen my teeth on the bones of interns. Day 8. At last count, I've received 49 emails from Analogue. Disagreeable as the points of view may be, I appreciate someone passionately articulating a counter-opinion, with extra credit given for a consistent expression of one's principles. Analogue is a firm believer in the virtues of an open and flexible work environment, worker empowerment, and flat decision-making. The two of us espouse contrary philosophies. Still, I am intrigued by Analogue's commitment, and I'm frustrated at my inability to respond to any of his emails. Yes, his emails. I have formed the opinion Analogue is male because of the unnecessarily aggressive tone of his communications. Pure testosterone. I summon my melon-headed head of IT, careful to describe the situation as purely hypothetical, and ask if there is any way I can reach the sender. He confirms what I already know. In order to reply to a mail, I need the sender's email address. So the mail continues to flow like boiling lava in only one direction, from Analogue to me. Day 9. Numbers rule my world, and for good reason. It's how good managers manage. We are quantitatively driven creatures. We analyze data and then make decisions to optimize corporate returns. Sure, on occasion I'm forced to go on instinct, but it's never in an absolute vacuum. The health of this enterprise relies on my dispassionate conducting of business. But Analogue doesn't see things the same way. The purity of his convictions is unwavering, and he is becoming increasingly strident in his demands for action. Analogue is employing his verbal spade to dig around in more personally sensitive territory, revealing a profound knowledge of me, which I find deeply unsettling. He has graduated from the pedestrian topics of layoffs or killing job sharing and reducing parental leave to those that penetrate the soil, reaching deeper to agitate the root, questioning my character, eroding my self-esteem. He accuses me of being selfish, of being heartless. Analogue claims success has formed a thick and ugly callus on my soul, and that I have all the humanity of an Orwellian algorithm. That's not nice. That's not fair. My job demands hard-nosed decisions. You become a machine-like functionary in a forest of ones and zeros, big data, and profit and loss statements. Guilty as charged, and what of it? Day 10. I consider myself a stable person, normally. I'm rock solid. But I'm not myself these days. Damn this Analogue. Did I say I wasn't letting him get to me? Yes, I thought so. That's what I would say. But the tirelessness of his taunting has left me exhausted. Analogue has seeded fear and apprehension where before I had only confidence and certainty. His efforts are gaining the upper hand, contorting my mental faculties in stress positions of increasingly acute discomfort. I'm nearly ready to cry uncle. Day 11. After 97 emails, the avalanche of criticism has worn me down. Analogue is impressively crafty in how he infiltrates my thought processes. He obviously knows me well, making his arguments and punctuating his points with an uncanny display of psychological jujitsu from which I am finding it increasingly difficult to wriggle free. I find my heart racing, my brow beating with sweat. My hands now shake when I click on his incoming emails. Analogue has parachuted into my life with unnerving effect, and I seem powerless to fight back. He must be stopped. But how? Day 12. Analogue has subverted texts, mails, and instant messages into cerebral grenades, fomenting insecurity and self-doubt. Even video conferences are interrupted by a crawl of text across the screen. Your mind is too weak to know the truth by reason alone. My God, is he plagiarizing St. Augustine? Day 15. I arrange a one-on-one meeting with a highly recommended private cybersecurity consultant. I provide a redacted account of what's been happening and allow an examination of my laptop. The woman spends a quarter hour performing an improbable number of keyboard commands, after which she pushes my tough book to my side of the table and gives me a look as if I had just escaped a mental institution. She says, "Of course I'm not questioning you, Ted, but whatever emails you may have received in the past are no longer stored in your mail program. I can't find a single one from Analogue, is it? I'm sorry to tell you there is simply nothing out of the ordinary." She went on to explain that the advanced multi-factor authentication, biometrics plus mobile as a smartphone credential that controls access to my computer is working perfectly. For the layperson, let me translate. Unless you have my 3 middle fingers and my cell phone, you are not hacking into my computer. Incredulous, I opened my mail account to find she was right. All of Analogue's emails have vanished. Day 16. I should have seen it coming. A reinvigorated assault from Analogue. He's furious that I invited a stranger to read his emails, and so he recalled every last one of them. But now they have started anew, and the heat index is off the charts. Analogue has grown impatient with my inaction and is threatening to clip the wings of someone close to me if I don't start playing ball. How dare he threaten me? Who does he think he is? Then again, who do I think he is? Day 17. Analogue continues to score on my weakening defenses. I catch myself nodding in agreement to his arguments, but still I do what he is demanding. Day 17. Analogue continues to score on my weakening defenses. I catch myself nodding in agreement to his arguments. But still, to do what he is demanding goes against the grain of my 25 years of experience. Today I tried deleting his incoming email to save me the anxiety of reading it, but no matter how many times I click delete, it stays fixed, staring me down like a prize fighter. But that's only the half of it. When I attempt to drag the mail into the trash bin, I swear it actually speaks. Really, Ted? You think you can get rid of me that easily? Day 18. As the boss, I'm one of the first to arrive at the office. An act of leadership made easier by the fact that I have never allowed my biological clock to convert from Eastern to Pacific time. This morning, as I approach the entrance to the building's parking garage, I am met by a circus of flashing lights and police vehicles in a variety of shapes and sizes, I didn't know existed. Before I have time to wonder what could be going on, I am asked to step outside my car and escorted by two dead serious women detectives in regrettable suits to a corner of the garage where a white tent has been erected. I'm shown inside and asked if I can identify a body. I know it's my admin assistant before I am shown his face. Peeking out from under the white sheet is his unmistakable butterfly tattoo. A shudder of terror races through me as I put two and two together to equate an incomprehensible result. This is the work of Analogue. What was it he threatened? To clip the wings of someone close to me? Just hours earlier, my admin appears to have been stabbed to death with the long chopstick he wore like a skewer in his man bun. His body was found by the janitorial staff next to his bright yellow bicycle, complete with streamers on the handlebars. Day 19. I told the detectives nothing, which is more or less all I know. Did I mention Analogue? Tell them about his belligerent emails and recent threats? Of course not. The last thing I need is for some cops pursuing a murder investigation to think I'm nuts. Besides, my imagination must be running wild. Analogue couldn't possibly, really, have anything to do with this. Could he? Day 22. I have not received one mail from Analogue in the past 2 days. I can't believe I'm saying this, as for weeks I've wanted nothing more than for the emails to stop, but now it's worse not getting any. The stillness is ominous, like the peacefulness that lures a gazelle to the water's edge just before the crocodile strikes. The waiting is unnerving, mentally debilitating. I have stopped sleeping. It's been 42 hours since I last savored even a wink. And I must force myself to eat. Gone is my appetite. In short, I am coming undone. But I've got to pull it together. There is a board meeting the day after next. Day 23. Analogue has managed to pinpoint my operating system's vulnerability by pitting my brain against my conscience in a struggle of cage-fight ferocity, and I am the cage. I now parallel path two thought processes when I'm asked to make a decision. I consider the decision I would normally make, and then I contrast it to the decision Analogue would demand I make. And I have started to give greater weight to his POV. I am not proud of it, but I am scared to do otherwise. Day 24. It's the bi-quarterly board meeting, and I am on an eye chart of a slide when all of a sudden my screen goes black. I wiggle the mouse, check the battery level, along with the other idiot-proofing things people do when their computers misbehave. Before I have a chance to think anything serious might be wrong, a message appears on my laptop screen. The typeface is large and bold and white and reads, "I killed that dipshit with the butterfly tattoo." I immediately try to shut down the power, but my laptop doesn't respond. I frantically grab the projector's remote control and mash the power button to off before the abhorrent message is displayed for all to see on the large screen at the end of the 16-foot conference room table. Still nothing. Desperate, I jump onto the table, reach up to the Sealy-mounted projector, and jam the lens cap onto the hot and humming machine. The directors stare up at me, saucer-eyed and gape-mouthed, in stunned silence. Crisis averted, I climb down from the table and try to pull myself together. While my outward recovery is reasonably well managed, my internal equilibrium is as steady as a toddler carrying a plate of spaghetti. Day 25. Today, at long last, I receive a mail from Analogue, the first since the killing of my assistant. My hand trembles on the mouse as I click to open it. It reads, "Still you fail to act, so things are coming to a head." I slump back in my chair, my hands clasped over my face. My overwhelming despair is interrupted by a tentative knock on my door. It's my new temp admin assistant, and she is not alone. Her waifish figure is framed by the two now familiar female homicide detectives. I immediately fear they want to question me about the recent murder, but they have far more disturbing news. They waste no time in telling me our head of IT has been found dead in the server room, his massive head bashed in by his own company-issued tough book. Day 26. I relent and reverse my decision to let legal move into the yoga room. My chief counsel is livid. So much blood rushes to his face he looks like an eggplant with eyes. I anxiously await Analogue's reaction, anticipating at long last a positive word and with it some measure of mental relief. Hours later I receive, not much of a start, but still, it's a start. Meager encouragement though it is like a watershed moment, catalyzing a spree of edicts that pour from my 8th-floor executive suite. After each decision is announced, I await the reward of Analogue's favor like a dog that has dropped a saliva-sogged tennis ball at the feet of his master. How I relish the pat on my head. Emboldened by Analogue's approval, I issue a flurry of progressive policies, flex hours, unlimited time off, extended parental and bereavement leave. I have become Analogue's vassal. Day 29. Now the board is on my case. They are concerned that productivity is slipping, that important product releases are late, that customer satisfaction stats are in the cellar. But I refuse to rescind my decisions. My long-practiced, data-driven management approach has, in the span of a few weeks, been supplanted by a set of analog-driven principles, ones that, despite the numerical evidence pushed under my nose, cannot be reversed without unleashing unknown and terrifying consequences. For the sake of the business, I should change course. After all, it is still my shaking hand on the throttle, but I am powerless to stop the rapid descent. Day 30. The past few days have been the most wrenching of all. While Analogue continues his careful manipulation of my mind, the board's agitation has crescendoed to a saber-rattling pitch. They have each, and that's 8 separate calls, telephoned me, saying things like, "Well, this isn't like you, Ted, and this is the kind of thing we brought you in to fix, not exacerbate." And most galling of all, more than one of them adopted the cooing tone of a psychiatric nurse. "How are you feeling today, Ted?" Feeling? Talk about crossing a line. It's one thing for them to provide oversight. That's the board's job. But to make it personal, by suggesting there may be something wrong with me, is beyond the pale. To hell with a lot of them. Day 31. Despite my chin-up, never let them see you sweat outward appearance, things continue on a downhill slide. When I take the quarterly earnings call with our chief financial officer, I have to admit my forecast of turning a profit was overly optimistic. As it turns out, we posted the second worst 3-month performance in the company's history. The stock analysts ripped me to shreds. To help you get a feel for the climate, just imagine a panel of House Republicans interviewing a socialist nominee for Supreme Court justice. It is a god-awful experience. Day 32. The stock plummets. The board calls an emergency meeting. Day 33. Despite them flying in on a squadron of luxuriously appointed private jets, the board arrives in a mood more reflective of having traveled coach to Kuala Lumpur. I am put on the hot seat and hammered for 90 minutes. I hold firm. They don't understand who is really calling the shots. I have been reduced to the neutered man in the middle, pulled in 2 directions by 2 opposite masters. The difference is one of them will stop at nothing, not even stabbing and bludgeoning my staff to coerce my obedience. When forced to choose, I really have no choice. The board sacks me. I don't remember collecting my laptop or leaving the boardroom or taking the elevator up to the executive floor or walking down the dark, quiet hallway to my office. However, I am aware of the unprecedented numbness of my being. I feel nothing but utter exhaustion. I collapse into my chair, and on cue, my computer alerts me to the newest email from Analogue. It is the shortest and most frightening email yet. It reads, "Time to meet your maker, Ted." In the next instant, my office door slams shut, and I hear the door handle's locking mechanism engage. Terrified, I bolt upright from my chair and race to the large mahogany-framed window overlooking the labyrinth of sidewalks connecting the 6 buildings of our campus. The large expanse of glass doubles as a mirror, and I am petrified by the reflection that greets me. It is Analogue. The initial shock rocks me back on my heels. I'm not mad, yet I'm staring into the face of a madman. Before I have time to think, Analogue reaches through the glass, grabs me by the jacket lapels, and violently pulls me toward him. I try desperately to fight him off, throwing frenzied punches as I try to yank myself free from his grip. But he is too strong, and I feel my feet lift off the ground as my elbows scrape across the windowsill. Over my screams, I hear Analogue's horrible laugh as he pulls me ever closer to him, our faces just inches apart. His eyes spit fire, and his crooked smile displays a set of teeth sharpened on the bones of interns, and with a final powerful tug, he pulls me over the window ledge. Time stretches and slows as I fall. The building's stately brick facade scuffs my polished shoes. The thrilling speed musses the trademark neat part of my hair. I frantically look right and left for Analogue, but he is no longer beside me. I somersault in the air and find myself looking up to my open window, and there he is. It is Analogue. He is looking down on me from my office window, and he is still laughing.
Analogue is copyrighted by Rob Osler. Music for the podcast was obtained from purpleplanet.com. Mixing and editing were done by Kevin Wheeler and Jackie Sherbo. You can subscribe to Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine, where you'll find more stories like this one by visiting our website at www.elleryqueenmysterymagazine.com.